Hey everybody, and welcome to my entry to Dr. Drvonchilla'S 1 year on video, or 1 year of doing videos on YouTube. And John wanted us to do a 5 minute uh, segment on why we love comic books, and maybe show 5 books that we couldn't live without, or we will keep till the day we die. 5 minutes or 5 hours, 5 books or 500. If this runs over 5 minutes, John, buddy, you're just going to have to get over it. Uh, why do I love comic books? Wow. I think, I always loved to read when I was a kid. I always loved to draw. I think as far as comic book wise or comic strip wise, uh, probably the first things I was, I guess, exposed to were the Peanuts and the Sunday Funnies. I mean, you always had the Peanuts and BC, which is still a favorite. Beetle Bailey, Blondie, all that stuff that you saw on the comic strips. And, I always loved the cartoons. I mean, I was a big Looney Tunes fan, and we watched the Peanuts cartoons and all the stuff that came on, so it all kind of rolled into one thing for me. And then, I lived in Ohio probably till I was like 7 or 8 years old. We moved to Kentucky. And that's when I really got into comic books, because I had cousins, had a lot more cousins that lived close, and there were always like stacks of funny books. But most of it was like Archie and Richie Rich and, Harvey stuff. And, but I always loved reading them. And, when actually I got old enough, to start going with my dad to the barber shop, it was a big deal. When I found out I liked comic books, I would jump in the chair first, which I hated getting a haircut, but I figured, okay, whatever money I had on me, because I don't know if I really had a set allowance then, if I might have had, a couple bucks or 50 cents or whatever, or just, money that my parents gave me. But I would always be the first one in the chair. That way I could jump out, go down a couple blocks to a drugstore, and look at this glorious shelf, not unlike what you see here, probably twice as big as that, and all these comic books, And but for me, it was always, I love the art, I love the stories. I was a really shy kid when I was young, so it was kind of an escape for me, because other than being around relatives, I wasn't really that good in social situations when I was a kid. Really shy and what we would call in Kentucky kind of backward. But that was an escape for me. If it was a rainy day, and it didn't have to be a rainy day, I could have a stack of comic books, and I would read them and read them and read them until the covers fell off. I know at one time you could look in my room, and this room, when I finally got my own room to myself, my room was about 8 by 10. I had my bed. I had 2 feet from the end of my bed to the door, 2 feet in between my bed and the closet, and you had a little room for a dresser. Well, the whole floor would be covered ankle deep. I'm not joking, ankle deep in comic books everywhere, and when I was read them and read them and read them, and finally got to where, okay, I want to start saving these, and I just loved everything about them. And it was especially, I guess, when I was about 10 or 11, and I've told this story before in like a comic book memories video, but I had to have some oral surgery, and I had cysts and everything cut out, and had some teeth pulled, and 10 or 11 years old, and I didn't want anything but lay on the couch, and my folks said, well, we're going to the grocery store, said, you want us to pick you up some funny books or something? I said, okay. So, and I don't have them in this video, but I've shown before, right? It was like there's 3 books. There was Superboy 205, which was a 100-page spectacular, Justice League of America 114, which was another 100-pager, and I think the other one was like a Woody Woodpecker or Pink Panther, it was some gold key book. But that's what got me hooked. I was like, oh, superheroes and the stories, they're continued to the next issue. Oh my God, but I saw all the reprints. I saw reprints from the 40s on up through the 60s, and then the new stories coming out in the 70s. So I just, the 100 pages for me were like it. And from then on, I was hooked. I mean, look around at this mess. I mean, do I love comic books? I love comic books. I'm crazy about them. I've got way too many. But that, it was everything for me. It was the art, it was the stories, it was a way to escape. I mean, like I said, I was kind of shy growing up, and didn't have a lot of close friends other than my cousins. And, and a lot of people, I think, they hear people collect comic books, and they get this stereotype. Well, there's this geeky little greasy nerd living in his mom and dad's basement. You know, he has no life. You know, I had a great childhood. You know, my mom and dad, you know, they supplied everything we needed, and got great parents and had a great childhood. But you know, I was kind of shy, and this was until I got to where I could function in social situations later. Probably when I began playing in bands. You know, I was pretty bad in social situations. I kind of joke to people now that the best thing I did in high school was hide. So, thankfully, I'm not that way anymore. But I could go on and on and on, but in a nutshell, I just ran over 5 minutes on that segment. And I don't know if John differentiated between 5 minutes for the whole thing or 5 minutes on why I love comics. But there we go. I went over 5 minutes for that. Now, he wants us to show 5 books that we will never give up. And some of these are pretty easy. I mean, like I said, I could pull 500 books and say, oh, I can't, you know, I've got to keep these forever. But these 5 are 5 that I've shown before in other videos and are just really beloved to me. And I'll just get on with it. And the reason, and there's reasons that each one of these, or that I love each one of these books. But my all-time favorite comic, and I've probably got 7 or 8 copies. This is probably one of the higher grade copies. Was Commandy 18, The Eater. I mean, you know, I was wondering who was this Jack Kirby guy. What's he ever done? But you know, later on I found out. But just, you know, I love the story and love the art. It was just one of those books that I can always go back to. I was like, wow, I just love that story. And something about Kirby's art just kind of jumped off the page at you, you know. It was like a little, you know, and everything has been said about Kirby, but, you know, the artwork just kind of jumps off the page at you like a movie, you know. Another book, and the thing about, it's not these 2 exact books, but I've got the original of one of them. But my first back issue order was to Robert Bell. And to you old-timers, I know you recognize that. I know John, Nick, Hippie, I know Hans will know that, you know, I know probably 15 or 20 of you guys that I follow will know that name. But this was in my first back issue order. The Commandy and this book here, Where Monsters Dwell, number 14. Like I say, these were all reprints, early 70s. But this was like my favorite, one of my favorite Kirby stories, the green thing about the plant guys, and it's got a beautiful John Severin cover. And I actually found my original copy, which is pretty well loved, I guess you could say. It's got chunks out of it, pretty beat up, spine roll, creases, tears, the whole thing. But I just love this book. I love all the reprints. You know, Kirby and Ditko. Can't be beat. Okay, another one. And I've shown this book before. I think it was in the video where I showed books that I would have slabbed. And this is my beloved Batman 251. Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. My favorite Batman story. My favorite art by Neil Adams ever. I've got the original somewhere. I think it's got like a third of the cover gone and it's all beat up. But this is my high grade copy. This came in a 3-pack. This and Superboy 197 and Shazam number 5 in a 3-pack for 59 cents. You saved a whole penny. But I just love this book. We'll never let go of it. Like I said, the aforementioned Justice League 114, that was my first JLA book, and after that I was hooked on JLA. But this was one of the first ones I bought with my own money that I can remember, and it was my first JLA JSA team-up other than a reprint. And this is the first part of a 2-parter, Justice League of America 123, Justice League and the Justice Society. And you get to see some characters you don't normally get to see in one of these. You get to see the Earth 2 Robin back here in his hybrid Robin Batman costume. You get to see Wildcat, Johnny Thunder, Dr. Midnight, Earth 2 Wonder Woman. Beautiful, beautiful Ernie Chan cover. Dick Dillon and Frank McLaughlin on the art on the inside. I just love this book, love this story. And last but not least, I still have my original copy. I couldn't find it really quick because I knew the deadline on this contest was coming up in a couple days. Uh, but I used to trade comic books with a cousin of mine who's no longer with us. I'm sad to say, but he had a trunk full of comic books, and we would always trade comic books around. And this one I saw, and I finally, he didn't want to give it up, but I finally got him to trade. I think I had to trade 2 or 3 of the already comics for it. My original copy's all beat up, but I just love this book for well, I'll show you the cover, and you'll know why. So here we have from Charlton Comics, Fantastic Giants number 24, I do believe. And these are all Steve Ditko stories. Gorgo, Conga, Hogar, and the Mountain Monster, all Steve Ditko. Squarebound book, another one of my favorites to collect. My original copy looks like it was wadded up, stuck in my back pocket, left in my back pocket, put in the washing machine, and then pulled out. But I still have it, still beloved. And this is actually my first Charlton comic, and it really got me interested in Ditko and Charlton. And so there we are. There are my 5. The thing about these books, I mean, I've got hundreds of other books I love, but these books here, I know when I look at the covers, I mean, they're going to make me smile. They're going to make me happy when I thumb through the pages and read the stories. I'm going to enjoy myself every time I look at these books. So these are my 5. This ran over 11 minutes. Sorry, John. But I encourage anybody that hasn't watched John's channel to get on there and get on there quick. The guy is like so knowledgeable. I started noticing it in the comments on my videos, and who's this Drvonchilla'S guy? He's got all this knowledge, and I love the comments, and I love the questions. And I said, when's this guy going to show up on YouTube, And I kind of kidded him in an earlier comment I left. I was like, I didn't think I was ever going to see his little smiling mug on YouTube. But, luckily for us, we've got to enjoy him for the last year, and I hope there's many more years, John. Congratulations, buddy. And hope to see more soon. As always, guys, onward and upward.